Time now for our 360 round for a look at Apple. I want to bring in our panel to discuss the latest there. We've got Scott Kessler, Global Sector Lead, TMT at ThirdBridge, and Nancy Tengler, CEO and CIO of Laffer Tengler. Thank you both so much for joining us today. Nancy, I want to start out with your thoughts first. So that Alphabet Google ruling recently was seen as favorable to Apple, and you saw Apple get a bump off of that because they've got this lucrative deal with them. How durable do you think that is? Because there's been a lot of questions around when is Apple going to catch up with the rest of the Mag 7?
Well, it's so good to be with you, and thanks for having me. I think effectively this is durable and sustainable, and I think it draws the two companies closer together. So we had thought the lagging stock price performance had been overdone, and we added to the name at about $202 a share. Not, even with the overhang at that time of the antitrust decision. And now we think you want to continue to hold the stock in here and add to it on weakness. We'll probably get some weakness out of the developers conference, but what I would expect to hear sooner rather than later is a joint AI venture between Google and Apple, and I think that will be bullish for both stocks.
That would be interesting to hear. And look, there's been all this questions and suggestions that Apple needs to buy Perplexity. Scott, I want to get your take on that as well. How durable do you think the bump is recently for Apple over the past month? It has gained some ground.
Yeah, look, I mean, we focus more on the fundamental outlook for companies like Apple. It's not lost on me that this is a stock that's basically flat year to date, which obviously marks some pretty significant underperformance. And I think that reflects the fact that people have a lot of questions, frankly, about particularly how the company is positioned and performing when it comes to AI. I think back over my career, and I think back to the fact that Apple has been tremendously well positioned when it comes to devices and platforms. But that era seems to be ending as they really are forced now to partner for AI prowess. And there's no question that the company is in a better position to align itself more with the likes of Alphabet/Google in light of the recent antitrust decision. But I do wonder what the company is going to do when it comes to developing and promulgating its own AI technology.
So, Scott, let me ask you a quick follow-up then. Could the event tomorrow be a potential catalyst for Apple, especially as it relates to reclaiming that innovation narrative?
It depends on how you think about innovation. I think you're going to see a lot of new products that people are familiar with, whether it's the iPhone or the Apple Watch. And you're going to see updates and new and probably improved features and functionality. I do not expect much, if any, of the event tomorrow is going to be focused on AI. I know that there have been a lot of reports, most recently, I think just over the last few days, talking about the fact that Apple is working on something to work through AI and Siri together, called, I think, World Knowledge Answers. A 2026 launch, I guess, is thought about here, but Apple has had a lot of false starts when it's come to AI. I would highly doubt that they're going to kind of make that the centerpiece of the event tomorrow.
So, Nancy, I want to go back to you then earlier, especially as you mentioned you bought Apple around 202 and you say buy it on weakness. Tell me a little bit more about your views on its comeback story.
Well, I think a couple of things. I mean, I know that those of us who live on Wall Street think that we're smarter than most management teams. But if I know that Apple has a problem with AI, they clearly know it. And Tim Cook has been consistently underestimated since we purchased the stock, which was after he took over and had the Google Maps debacle. And there was not a positive word to be said about the company on Wall Street. And so we view this name as, clearly fundamentals matter, brand matters. And the question becomes, what is the catalyst for outperformance? And I think what you'll see is that Apple will do what they do best, and they will emulate and then turn it into their own brand. So I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. And here we kind of view it as the U.S. Treasury bill of our technology holdings. It's a new defensive, if you will. And so we'll use the weakness that usually comes around the developers conference to look at opportunities to add to the name. Now, clearly, it's not a member of our 12 best ideas portfolio, but it is in our growth and growth at a reasonable price portfolio, and we're going to continue to hold it. So, and then add to it on weakness.
Okay, and growth at a reasonable price. And really quickly, let me ask you this. Does Apple need to buy AI or does it need to develop it itself?
I would love to see them buy it, but they won't because of the cultural integration issues at the firm. So I think they'll partner as they often do, and we'll see what happens, but hopefully they'll get it right.
All right. Well, Apple's got that big event tomorrow that they're labeling awe-dropping. We'll see if it is indeed awe-dropping. That's Nancy Tengler of Laffer Tengler and Scott Kessler from Third Bridge. Thank you both so much for joining us today. Appreciate it.